Welcome to Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to.
Last time, we left Odysseus just as he'd washed up on Phoenicia. Quite a state he was in.
Definitely. But he got lucky, found by Princess Nausicaa, and then welcomed by her parents, the king and queen.
That's right, and they've taken him in, this mysterious stranger. So now we're diving into books 8, 9, and X.
And this is where things get really interesting, because it's all about Odysseus finally starting to tell his own story. Tales of adventure, but also, well, a lot of loss.
A huge amount of loss.
Yeah.
Book 8 kicks off with the Phoenicians really rolling out the red carpet. They hold this grand feast for him.
Yeah, a proper welcome. And they bring in their bard, Demodocus. He's blind, but his songs...
Wow, they have a real impact. He starts singing about Troy.
And Odysseus, well, hearing about the war, his old comrades, it hits him hard. He actually starts weeping, tries to hide it, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's such a human moment, all that pain, still so raw, even after everything else he's faced.
King Alcinous notices, though. He's observant, sees his jest, is upset.
Right, so he cleverly shifts gears, so they move outside for some games, lighten the mood.
Good idea, get the blood pumping. So one of the young nobles, Laodamas, invites Odysseus to join in.
Makes sense, trying to include the guests.
But Odysseus is like, no thanks, I'm exhausted, which, fair enough.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
But then another young guy, Euryalus, pipes up.
Oh yeah, this guy. He basically insults Odysseus, says he looks more like a merchant counting his profits than an athlete.
Oof. Bad move.
Big mistake. Odysseus is not having that. He stands up, grabs this massive discus.
Heavier than the others were using.
Exactly, and just launches it. It flies way past all the other marks, puts everyone in their place.
Yeah, that quieted Euryalus down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Shows you can't judge a book by its cover, especially not this book.
So true. Then Demodocus sings again. This time it's a bit different.
Yeah, lighter tale.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the affair between Ares, the god of war, and Aphrodite, the goddess of love.
And how her husband, Hephaestus, the smith god, catches them.
Right. With that ingenious invisible net he made. Traps them right in the act for all the other gods to laugh at.
A bit of divine comedy there. Sort of breaks the tension.
Definitely. After that, the Phaeacian lords all give Odysseus gifts. Proper parting gift.
Nice ones, too. A cloak, a shirt, and each one gives a talent of gold. That's generous.
Very generous. Showing respect, even without knowing who he is yet.
So Odysseus thanks King Alcinous, thanks everyone, but makes it clear, his main goal is just getting home. That longing is palpable.
Always pulling him back to Ithaca. But there's one more song from Demodocus.
Ah, yes. The Trojan horse.
The ultimate symbol of Odysseus' cunning and the fall of Troy. And again.
He weeps. Can't help it. The memories are just too strong.
And this time, Alcinous doesn't just change the subject. He sees the depth of the reaction. He finally asks him point blank.
Who are you? Tell us your story.
And that's the perfect transition into Book 9. Odysseus finally drops the mystery. I am Odysseus, son of Laertes, he says. And then he starts his tale. Right from leaving Troy, first stop, Ismarus, land of the Cicones.
Not exactly a relaxing start to the trip home.
No, quite the opposite. They sack the city, grab loot, but then his men, they get greedy, complacent, they hang around celebrating.
Uh-oh. Never hang around after a raid.
Exactly. The Cicones regroup, call for backup from inland, and launch a counterattack. Odysseus loses quite a few men. 6 from each ship, I think.
A harsh lesson right out of the gate. Discipline matters.
Absolutely. So after escaping the Cicones, they sail on and land among the lotus eaters.
Now that sounds much nicer, eating lotuses.
It sounds peaceful, and they are peaceful people. But the lotus flower, it's got this effect.
Right, it makes you forget everything. Your home, your mission, you just want to stay there forever eating lotus.
Pretty much. Total blissful apathy. Odysseus practically has to force some of his crew back to the ships, dragging them away crying because they wanted to stay.
Wow. Another kind of danger, losing yourself, your purpose. It's not always monsters, is it?
Not at all. Sometimes it's just temptation. Okay, so that brings us to Book X, and the adventures just keep coming. Next up, the island of Aeolus.
Aeolus, the keeper of the winds. This sounds promising. Maybe a shortcut home?
It really should have been. Aeolus is hospitable. They stay a month, and when Odysseus is ready to leave, Aeolus gives him this amazing gift.
The bag of winds.
Exactly. He bags up all the storm winds, ties it up securely, and leaves only the gentle west wind free to blow them straight back to Ithaca.
Perfect. Home is literally in sight. What could possibly go wrong?
Famous last words in the Odyssey, right? Odysseus falls asleep, exhausted, just as they can see Ithaca's shores.
No.
Yep. and his crew, they get suspicious. They think the bag must be full of gold or silver that Odysseus is keeping for himself.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Curiosity and greed.
A deadly combination. They open the bag, and of course,
Whoosh! All the storm winds rush out, creating this massive tempest that blows them right back where they started, to Aeolus' island.
talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Aeolus is furious. He basically says, "You guys are clearly cursed by the gods. Get off my island." Won't help them again.
Can't really blame him. That was spectacularly dumb of the crew.
It really was. So, heartbroken and rowing now because there's no wind, they sail on for 6 days and nights, and then they find the land of the Laestrygonians.
Okay, this name does not sound friendly. Laestrygonians.
Not friendly at all. These are giant cannibals, like massive beings.
Oh, great. Just what they needed?
Odysseus cautiously sends a few men to scout, but most of the fleet pulls into this harbor surrounded by high cliffs. Only Odysseus keeps his own ship outside, just in case.
Smart move. Always hedge your bets with Odysseus.
Turns out to be crucial. The Laestrygonians attack. They start hurling huge boulders down from the cliffs, smashing the ships in the harbor to pieces.
Oh my god.
And then they wade in and spear the men like fish. It's a massacre.
Utter devastation.
How many ships get away?
Only one. Odysseus' ship. Everyone else, all those other ships and crews, gone. Just like that. The scale of the loss is just staggering. After everything else.
It's brutal. So with just one ship left, they eventually reach Aeaea, the island of the goddess Circe.
Circe, the sorceress. Okay, another potentially tricky situation.
Definitely. Odysseus divides his remaining men. He stays with one group by the ship and sends the other half, led by Eurylochus, to explore.
Eurylochus seems like a sensible guy, usually.
He is. He leads them to Circe's palace. It looks strangely peaceful, wolves and lions hanging around outside, but totally tame, like pets. They hear Circe inside singing beautifully as she weaves.
Sounds enchanting. Maybe a bit too enchanting.
Exactly. Eurylochus feels suspicious, so he hangs back.
But the rest of the men, they call out, Circe invites them in, gives them this drug food and wine.
And then turns them into pigs with her wand.
Well, physically pigs, but with their human minds still trapped inside. Horrifying.
Eurylochus sees this happen, or just realizes they're gone.
He doesn't see the transformation, just realizes they never came back out and suspects the worst. He runs back to Odysseus in terror, tells him what happened. And Odysseus, being Odysseus, immediately decides he has to go rescue them himself, alone.
That's right. On his way, though, he gets some divine intervention. The god Hermes shows up.
Like a messenger with a crucial tip.
Exactly. Hermes gives him this special herb, moly, black root, white flower. He tells Odysseus it will protect him from Circe's magic, and gives him instructions on how to handle her.
Use the sword, make her swear an oath.
Precisely. So Odysseus goes in. Circe tries her potion on him, but thanks to the moly, it doesn't work. He draws his sword, she freaks out, recognizes he must be Odysseus, prophecy foretold his arrival, and agrees to swear the oath not to harm him.
And to change his men back from pigs?
Yes, that's part of the deal. She restores them, makes them younger and better looking than before, actually.
Well, that's something. So crisis averted.
For the moment.
Yeah.
But then, Circe invites them all to stay, and they do, for a whole year.
A year. Feasting, relaxing. Circe's hospitality must have been pretty good.
Apparently so. A needed respite, perhaps. But eventually, his men come to him and say, "Hey, boss, remember Ithaca?"
Great. Time to get back on mission. A year is a long detour.
It is. So Odysseus asks Circe to help them get home. And she agrees, but there's a catch, a big one.
There's always a catch.
She tells him before he can sail for Ithaca, he must journey somewhere else first, to the land of the dead, the underworld.
Whoa. Hades itself. Why?
To consult the ghost of the blind prophet Tiresias. He's the only one who can tell Odysseus exactly how to get home and what dangers still lie ahead.
Good grief. From Circe's island to the underworld, that's quite the next step. Does she tell him how?
Yes, very specific instructions. Sail to the edge of the world, find the spot where two rivers meet, dig a trench, and perform sacrifices. Honey, milk, wine, water, barley, and then a black ram and ewe, letting their blood flow into the trench to attract the spirits.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap. We had the whole Phaeacian episode, the feast, the games. Odysseus moved to tears by songs of Troy.
Then he reveals himself and starts his story. The costly mistake with the Cicones, the dangerously seductive lotus eaters,
The disaster with Aeolus's bag of winds, totally self-inflicted by the crew.
the horrific encounter with the Laestrygonian giants, wiping out most of his fleet.
And finally, the year-long stay with Circe, who turned his men into pigs but then became an ally. sort of.
Only to end with this chilling directive, go down into the darkness, into the realm of Hades.
So, what terrors and what truths await Odysseus in that shadowy land? Will Tiresias' prophecy offer hope, or just more warnings of doom?
That's where we'll pick up next time. Join us then on Cozy Reading Club. This was Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. If you like this series, we invite you to take a look at other series in our podcast and leave a nice review on the platform you are listening this on.